Hey everyone, so I've decided to move my channel to YouTube. Wowza, I'm gonna be a YouTuber. No, I'm kidding, that's not what this is about. Firstly, I wanted to move to here because Facebook is just such a breeding ground for shit, and I'd rather the people that are watching my content are people that are genuinely interested and would like to discuss, and me be able to share that with people I know that I can maybe trust and not pass judgment. Also, not that YouTube is so private or anything, but also this way, if you're a random person stumbling across my content, then you don't necessarily know who I am or where I live or whatever. Obviously, that doesn't mean I'm anonymous, but it is what it is. So before I unpack the text further, I wanted to make a video just kind of explaining some context of my own, which you don't have to watch this because it's just going to be me talking about myself. So, no problem. It's me spewing into an echo chamber and, whatever. But I do believe my stories, everyone's stories are relevant and can lead you to form certain opinions, beliefs, attitudes, etc. So I want to talk a little bit about my experience with police and why I don't trust them. So my first experience with police was in college at a weed rally, and it was two undercover cops, fucking assholes, and they came up and like, hey, you want to share some of that with us? And I immediately was like, yeah, I'm not getting a good vibe from these two, and told them to piss off, and they slapped me with a ticket for possession, took me down to a tent that was already set up to slap hundreds of people with these fines. So whatever, that wasn't a big deal, but they were very verbally harassing. Once I got into that tent, I was the only girl in there, and they're like, oh, little girl, oh, you're a pretty little girl, what are you crying? Because I was crying because I'd never dealt with police and thought this would be hopefully the first and last time. But that's wrong, because in America, we love to incarcerate our citizens. We love to police. We love to send the police to do everything. My next experience with police wasn't really personal to me, but, well, it was. I have a family member who's struggled with drug addiction most of his life, was also a diabetic. Long story short, was living in an apartment and was having frequent conflicts with someone who lived above him who would call noise complaints, this and that. I don't know how true the story is, but from what I understand, he got really pissed one day that she called the cops on him yet again. And with his record, the cops would never take his side, and he went up to her apartment to try and talk to her and went to knock on her door, and it swung open because it wasn't properly closed. And then she told the police he broke and entered. And they ended up arresting him and using force. They broke one of his arms, and he could no longer properly inject his insulin on his own, and he ended up dying a couple weeks later. So, there's that. My uncle did not need force to be taken down, trust me. A sickly old man with a history of drug addiction, probably weighed 100 pounds. Look at I'm tiny, my family is tiny. There was no need. There's no need. Now, my experiences, the first one was about 4, maybe 5 years ago now. I don't even know. Time is a construct. I fell asleep behind the wheel. Full disclosure, I had drank earlier in the day. And I ate, I took a nap, stopped drinking a while before I left. I should have stayed. Everyone involved knows I should have stayed. I was going through some personal stuff, and I didn't want to. I wanted to go home. Not worth it. I fell asleep behind the wheel, and I crashed into a boulder. Thank God nobody else was hurt. The only person that suffered was me. The police immediately, as soon as the first thing I thought was, thank God help is here, when I saw lights and sirens, because apparently, even though I was further knocked unconscious, I'd called 911. I don't remember, but apparently I managed to pick up my phone and call 911 after I crashed. The first thing the police did when they arrived and I managed to push myself out of my vehicle and fall onto the ground was shine a light in my eyes and tell me to stand up and do a field sobriety test. Who would pass that? I could have been a sober Sally my whole life, and I would probably not pass that after getting into an accident like that and being so fucking freaked out. So, they took me in, they breathalyzed me, didn't check me for injuries, which, going back to the scene, they asked me if I needed medical attention, because, that's what they're supposed to do. My mind's going a million miles a minute. I also have anxiety disorder, so just throw that in the mix. I couldn't think straight. And they said, do you need medical attention? And I said, no, I don't think so. So they sent the ambulance on its way. The ambulance was on scene for 3 minutes. The police were on scene for 3 hours. Didn't check me for injuries, was bleeding in my nose, my mouth. You can test positive for blood or alcohol in your blood way after a breathalyzer. So I got thrown out, I got charged with reckless driving. But regardless, what the fuck was that? That's not... Also, I was chained in the cell, not in the cell, but in the office to a pole with a handcuff on like this for hours after being in a major accident. Told them I was in pain. Doesn't matter. So, in long story short, that ended up affecting my employment at my first job. Even though I disclosed it, I owned up, took responsibility, did what I needed to do as an adult that had made a mistake. So then about a year ago, I took a turn down one-way street. Now think about the fact that I have a record, technically. They're not going to favor with me anymore, ever. Not that they had. I realized immediately I took the turn down the one-way street. It's about 11 o'clock at night. I was not drunk. I can't fucking see at night. So I've decided I'm never driving at night anymore. That's a big solution. But essentially I realized right away and I pulled over. No car accident, nothing. And a couple got out of their car and started freaking out. I was like, just let me turn around, let me go home. Nope, they called the police. The police showed up. The first thing they asked me to do, same thing, walk on a straight line. I had a sprained ankle at the time. Still visibly swollen and bruised. It was my left ankle, not my right. So I could drive. But if I was going to be able to do that little walking, you're kidding me. I looked right at the officer. I said, I have an injury. I have a sprained ankle. I'm not going to be able to do that test. And he looked at me right in the eyes and said, that doesn't matter. I don't care. Yep. Took me in again. Because obviously I didn't pass. I started having a panic attack in there because I was like, I can't be going through this again. I can't be going through this again. They handed me something to sign. I thought it was my Miranda rights. I was like, all right, whatever. Fuck this. Signed it. And then I look at them and go, when are you going to breathalyze me? Oh, you just signed not that you refused. I did. I didn't understand that. Have you seen me having a panic attack over here? I did not understand. Too bad. Take it up in court. You can't rescind it. Boom, you're slapped with a first offense OUI right away. So, to take it to trial would have cost me $3,500 on top of the $3,500 I already hired to get a lawyer to walk me through a process I probably could have figured out on my own. And this culminates now with I just got pink slipped at my job, and I don't know why. But same thing, I disclosed this. I handled it. Did what I needed to do. You tell me, am I a bad person? Does my driving record mean more than being an educator and a teacher and how much I care about my job? Why are police held to a higher standard to what they do on the job than me and what I do that has nothing to do with my job? So there's just a little context for you as to why I do not trust police. The system is not there to help you. I was not given very much rehabilitation. It was punishment after fine, after whatever you can do to keep you down. And I'm white and I have privilege. And I never once feared for my life. I never thought that cop was going to do anything to me. I'll address that. And I have privilege and I have the money to pay to figure it out. But I still think it's just another example of how every system is screwed up. Every system. Education, prison, police. So I'll let y'all sit with that. That might give you a little context as to my own personal anger and the feelings that I have around this, because I've faced my own oppression and it's nothing compared to what is actually going on. So, God bless.